Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I do not need the headphones anymore. Thank you all for being here. Good to see so many familiar faces in the chat, and I see a bunch of new people here as well. Thanks for joining. As always, we are going to have a good time today talking about live streaming and cameras and whatever you want to talk about. If you do have a question, remember to tag me in the question, mention my full name at Aaron Parecki, or the word question at the beginning of your sentence. And that'll make it show up special on my screen here so I can make sure to get to as many questions as we possibly can today. So, let's see what we've got in the chat. I see a bunch of people saying hello from all over the world. There's an echo, says Diane. Double check you don't have two windows open. I didn't hear an echo when I started. Sometimes YouTube just has multiple screens open. I know I've done that before. I saw a couple of comments earlier. Who was this? Oh, hi from Portland. I'm also in Portland. See, you are also having coffee this morning. Excellent. And, okay, a lot of people confirming no echo. Fantastic. Video quality is low. Double check your quality in YouTube, because sometimes YouTube also decides that you don't have enough bandwidth and it will give you the 240p version instead of the 1080. But I'm not streaming in 4K, so don't expect that many pixels. Joel asks, any changes in the studio? Well, funny you should mention that. We'll see. We'll see. I did have to change things around a little bit to get the cameras set up to show you today, because that is the plan for today. The plan is to talk about the two Sony cameras. So we will get to that in a minute. What else? Yeah, looks like YouTube decided to make my quality low while on Wi-Fi. Of course. And I see Petra is in the chat. Hello, hello. Petra did a studio tour live stream yesterday, so definitely go check out the Tech Condo channel. All right. Josh says my studio tour video was awesome. Thank you. That was a lot of fun to put together. I've been wanting to do that for a while, and wasn't quite the dramatic video I was hoping it to be, but it was still fun. At some point, I am going to tell the whole story of building this whole space, and I do have a little bit more footage to cut in there about like getting out the saws and chopping things up, and it was a whole project. But at least in the meantime, we got to see what's in here and got a little look around. But I do want to. Oh, I remember what I wanted to say, and I saw somebody mentioned their ATEM Mini stand, the PK1. Here it is from Chris. My Mark II stand, the new Stream Deck side stand, is at the USPS border facility. Can't wait for it to cross the border and get to me. Wonderful. I'm very glad to hear that. Those are shipping, and I've seen a couple of photos of them already in the wild. So if you haven't yet, if you didn't make the pre-order, they are now shipping regular speed, so they will get to you eventually. But yeah, that is I'm super glad those are coming out. Let me just go pull up the website. The PK1 Pro Mark II is now shipping, and I believe I've updated all the links to everything that is live now. And we are doing, I should mention the custom nameplates again. So the pre-orders, if you ordered between the 15th of August and 15th of September, then that was included with your name on it for free, thanks to YOLObox. So again, thanks to them for sponsoring that promo. And now you still can buy them, but they're now like an add-on. So you can go to this preview tool, which I should probably drop the link in the chat for that. And the preview tool lets you see what it would look like with your name on it, your name. And it'll plop it on the stand. You can choose what colors you want. We're doing white background with black letters, or red background with black letters, red background with white letters. You can't make it red on red, because that wouldn't make any sense and you wouldn't see it. So doesn't let you preview that one. And then you can find the nameplates here. So those are the individual stores for the 3 different regions, and then you can actually just go ahead and order those if you want that for your existing stand. Oh, and we also have one for the Extreme. So on the, if you go back to the site, you can find one for the Extreme as well. Oh, thanks, Lynn. Thanks for the super chat. What are your thoughts on the ZoomISO with Siphon and a BMD Decklink with Extreme Pro ISO? Excellent question. I will get to that in 2 seconds after I finish mentioning this one, because I know people were asking for this. Custom nameplates for the Extreme are also available now. So you can order those from the links here as well. So, okay. Let me go back to the chat here. Roland says, what I don't understand is why would YOLObox sponsor promotion related to a competitor's product? So they're not exactly a competitor. That's the thing, is because the YOLObox and the ATEM Mini do work very well together. And that is what I was, that is why I posted a photo. That's why I posted this photo. Because this is the YOLObox sitting on top of the ATEM, and I do think this is a fantastic way to add more video inputs into the YOLObox, because the original has 2, the Pro has 3. 3 is great, but what's even better is 5 or 6. I don't remember how to count that. 2 from the YOLObox, and the third one would be the 4 from the ATEM, so that would give you 6. Yes. And that's going to give you a lot more cameras to mix in, and the also gives you the physical buttons to press on the ATEM, which is a nice control surface for using just the YOLObox as like the streaming encoder and graphics overlay and chat thing. So that's a nice little package all in one. That is why they sponsored it, because they do actually work very well together. Okay, but I do want to get to Lynn's question. What are your thoughts on using ZoomISO with Siphon and a Decklink? Oh, I should click on this. Thanks, Lynn, for the super chat. Okay, what are your thoughts on using ZoomISO with Siphon and a Decklink with the Extreme Pro ISO? So I have the, I've tried ZoomISO a little bit, and I have not had the best success with it, but I think it's because I haven't yet tried it with the Decklink. I've only tried it with monitor outputs. And I was doing it on a 16-inch MacBook Pro, which is the high DPI screen and not the right aspect ratio either. So I think that's the source of the problems I was having with it. And I need to try it again with the Decklink, because everybody who I've heard who has had good luck with ZoomISO has used it with Siphon and a Decklink, and that seems to be the best way forward with it. I don't have the Decklink, and I don't have that Thunderbolt enclosure, and I don't have a desktop to put it in, so I might have to. It's a bigger investment. Either I go and build a desktop rig, or I get the Thunderbolt enclosure, and I just can't justify buying the 1-port Thunderbolt enclosure, and because it's so expensive just to put 1 card in it. I feel like if I'm going to get one of those, I should get a 2-port, 2-slot Thunderbolt enclosure so I can put 2 cards in it. Anyway, long story short, I don't have. I think this is the right. I think that is the right combo to use with it, and I haven't yet tried it myself. So hopefully that helps you. Cool. Okay. Going back to the chats here. YouTube decided to remove the notification I set yesterday. Great. Yes. YouTube is just wonderful at notifications. Speaking of, if you do want to actually get notifications of my live streams, you can do that if you go to aaronpk.tv, and if you scroll all the way to the bottom, then there is a email newsletter. And I apologize that this was apparently broken for people until a couple of weeks ago, when I tried to add some anti-spam things, because spammers were putting in their email addresses, putting in random email addresses and filling up my database. So I apparently went too far and prevented everybody from signing up, but it should be working now. These emails that go out are basically sent 30 minutes before I go live automatically, and they will be a link to the video, and if I do a stream on somebody else's channel, I'll often go and drop like manually write an email and push it out there as well. And that way you will actually get notifications when I am live. Chris says, I'm using it with HDMI out with a Mini using pluggable adapters. Okay, that is, yeah, they've also mentioned there's a particular device, a particular adapter you can get that they recommend, which is also not the exact one I had. I was just using 2 HDMI out monitors, and it was not happy. Joshua says, ZoomISO works really nicely on the M1 Mac Minis using Siphon. Tap into the Decklink Duo or into Pro Presenter. Yeah. I think that's the way to do it, is using that hardware. Okay, where were we? An image of all the wires from your studio tour should be a meme for live streaming. Big pile of wires. Escritorio Geek says, do you have issues with the Apple M1 connected to the ATEM Mini? Nope, not at all. This right now, this computer I'm using is an M1 Mac Mini, and I have an M1 laptop also, and it's connected to the ATEM, and it works just fine. My monitor that you're seeing on the stream, like when I do this monitor, is from the M1 Mac Mini into the ATEM, and I also use this all the time as a webcam into Zoom. I have not had any issues with M1. Oh, this is a good one. Your studio tour didn't show your IT closet. That is a good point. Yeah, I didn't go into the closet because it wasn't part of this room. It's in like the next room over, so I didn't go out there. Also, that room is a disaster over there. It's just stacks of boxes and stuff. Really need to deal with that at some point. But yeah, I didn't show the IT closet. The IT closet is basically where just all my networking stuff is. So it's got like the fiber modem. It's got my big network switch for running the wires to everything around here. It's got the wires that run into the various ports around this room, and it's got my backup LTE connection as well. That backup LTE router for if my main internet goes down. So all sorts of stuff in there, but maybe I can do a IT closet tour at some point. Nice to be watching back live. Not been active as much, been watching the replays. Oh, well, thanks for joining live. Good to see you here. Noel says, is there any way to change the color of your Google extension chat? I want it yellow again. Yes, there is a preference for that in the setting. What you have to do is, it's a little bit hard to find. If you go into the settings for your extension, then in here, there's this extension options. And this is, oh, I have this turned off right now. So I think that's because I have a second one. This is the one that's on. So what happens when you do extension development. Anyway, this is where you can change it. So you can choose your highlight words. You can choose your background color or the colors for the borders and stuff. That is where you can change all of that. Okay, a couple other questions. Let me see. Taekwondo says, you already painted new gear white. I haven't yet. I have not yet painted it. I need to. I haven't done anything with like deciding whether that's going to stay or not. So I've got the. I've got my little 2U on my desk situation going still, and haven't dealt with that yet. It's still just hanging out. We'll see if I get fed up with it sooner or rather than later. But if it ends up in a rack, it will probably get painted white along with everything else. All right, a couple other questions coming in. Randy says, I already got my nameplate for the Mini Extreme ISO. Fantastic. But then I also saw Jules. I was one of the first to order as soon as you mentioned my nameplate is late. I was told, so I did not yet get it. That's unfortunate. I don't know why it was late. I don't have a lot of visibility into the actual shipping of the things, but could just be shipping delays. Oh, thanks, Noel. I appreciate the super chat. Thank you for the confetti. Seems like it's falling extra slow today. Might need to reload that web browser. Appreciate the super chat. And that, just so everybody does know, all of that is just fed right back into this channel. So I don't take anything out of the revenue that I get from YouTube, the affiliate revenue or anything. That goes right back into buying more cables, buying more gear so that I can keep making these streams even better. And I am going to reload that browser window in OBS because that looks like that was just running too slow. Cool. Let's see, that should do it. Ooh, maybe in another video, can you explain what are the advantages of SDI over HDMI? That would make a good, it would make a good video. The short version, the short answer is HDMI is really only usable in short distances, and SDI you can go much farther. And that's sort of like the main, I would say the main benefit. There's other aspects of it too that are different, so I agree that would be a good video. How reliable is Decaffeine NDI? I'm planning to use one Raspberry Pi as a streamer and the other as a player. I don't know, unfortunately. I don't know. I don't even remember if I've actually installed it on the Raspberry Pi at some point, but I remember looking at it and I don't have a good answer. Sorry. Shane and Hannah says, what's a good PTZ camera for under £1,000 all in? Also something I'm not sure about. I have never actually bought a PTZ camera, and I have not done a lot of research, so not the best person to ask. Probably, I don't actually know who I would recommend for that, but I do potentially have one coming here because I saw somebody actually wanted to send me one. So we'll see if I do end up getting one in, and then I might be able to start talking about PTZ cameras. Chris asks, do you have a field live stream gig coming up? Would be very different from your bike setup from over a year ago. Yeah, that was like 3 years ago at this point. And that was that 3? I think it was either 2019 or 2018. Now I can't remember which. But that was pre-ATEM Mini. So there was no ATEM Mini, which means the Television Studio HD was the one that I used for that, which meant that because it has no streaming encoder in it, I had to use something else, which I think I used the Sling Studio for. And really, I was just using it as the RTMP encoder, which there's now so many more options out there compared to at that time. It would be very different. I don't know what I would use for that. For that scale of gig, I think I could get pretty far with the ATEM Mini Extreme, which would remove TV Studio and the Sling Studio. And ATEM Mini Extreme would probably be the core of what I would build that around at this point, and it would be a lot smaller. Because again, the TV Studio doesn't even have scalers in it, so you have to bring more gear to make it all work. So I'm looking forward to doing that at some point, but I'm also not like seeking out that kind of work right now, just because I have a lot of other things going on as well. Oh, Chris says, AJ the CEO talks about PTZ cameras a lot. Fantastic. Definitely go look at his channel. Oh, here's a question. Any monitor you recommend to use with the ATEM Mini on site? The 7-inch ones, the FeelWorld 7-inch ones, I think I didn't have any in my studio tour because they aren't out here anymore. Those are great because they're very small and portable. But they are, if it's too small to see the detail in the multi-view, then I would bump up a step and probably get that. I do like the C-Tech monitor. I did a video about that one last year. It's the one that has multi-view built in, the quad display. And you don't need to use it for that. You can just have one input full screen, but it's a good size and it's very rugged too. Hardy Media says, I pre-ordered the Bird Dog Play for use with Zoom NDI. Are you planning on getting a Play? I also pre-ordered one, and I forgot that I pre-ordered it because it was so long ago, and there's just been no updates on it. So I like it. I like the look of it because it's so affordable compared to all the other NDI stuff out there. So, yeah, we will see. Marcin asks, when will you do the YOLObox Pro and Sony ZV-1 stream? Well, I might now do a Sony ZV-1 and ZV-E10 stream with the YOLObox, so we'll see. I don't know. I like doing those when I'm not in this studio for various reasons, because I feel like it doesn't make a ton of sense just to use it in here when I've already got the rest of this stuff. But if I'm out somewhere, then it's so much easier bringing the YOLObox compared to bringing an ATEM Mini rig. Even if I could bring an ATEM Mini rig, it's just so many more wires. So that's, I think, if I find an excuse to where I can't be in here, either I'm traveling or whatever, then that is when I will do that. Roland says, Adam released a companion module for Mix Effect Pro. Have you had a chance to take a look at it yet? I have not yet. I did see his announcement about that, the live stream. That was great. And very cool things coming down the pipe. So Mix Effect is, I don't know if that button is programmed correctly. Speaking of buttons, I better double check before I press it. I did have to rewire all of my cameras, so okay, no, it's right. Mix Effect, this is the iPad app for controlling an ATEM, which is a great app, and he is building in companion support so that a Stream Deck can send commands to the app. So I think the main benefit of that is being able to control the super source options. So in here, when you have all the different layouts you can choose from, then focus on this camera. The RX0 is not good at focusing. But then you can send commands to this app and have it control the super source layouts, which is very cool because this is not something that the ATEM software control or the ATEM itself does. This is a feature in Mix Effect. But the other change he's doing is adding in full control of the ATEM through the Stream Deck integration. So basically your Stream Deck would talk to the iPad, which would talk to that, and you don't need Companion to talk to the ATEM. We'll see how that plays out, but I think that's really interesting. Oh yeah, and here's Adam. Next version of Mix Effect and the Companion module will have even more control over operation of the ATEM switcher. That is very cool. Oh yeah, the Lilliput A11 is also a good one. That's the one I use on my teleprompter over there, and that one is in my studio tour, so it is linked in that video. And that is that's a good option too, for sure. Ralph says, maybe in another video, are you able to look at Blackmagic's 4K switchers? It seems they are the other side outdated because there's no super source. Yeah, I don't have any of them, and I'm not gonna buy one of those at this point. I think they're about to get updated, so I'm gonna wait till whatever comes out this fall. We're all anxiously awaiting an update to that line, and then we'll see if I decide to end up getting any in. Yeah, Lilliput's a good field monitor. I think the out and about question depends on how you're packing it, because you have to be careful about not like scratching the surfaces of them and stuff. So some of them are more able to be stuffed in a bag or whatever. So I would keep that in mind as well. Would you consider doing a show to explain how you designed the stand in Shaper 3D? I think it'd be nice. That could be fun. I could do a Shaper 3D live stream. Maybe I could do one where I'm making another stand also. I can make a variation of it or something, make it for another. If I have to make an update for some reason, like I could do the Stream Deck, new Stream Deck Mark II, which I still haven't done. I could just live stream designing that one. It would be kind of fun. Okay. Just about through the initial questions, and then I want to go over to the desk to actually do this demo of the two cameras, because I do have them set up over there. And there's some interesting notes. Speaking of cameras, Rick asks, what cameras would you recommend for using for live camming on adult sites? I don't think there's anything special about that kind of work compared to other live streaming, so all the normal recommendations would apply. Honestly, the Lumix G7, I still like that camera. That's this one you're looking at. And we will also check out the ZV-1 and E10 because those have some very clear benefits over the G7, but we'll talk about those in a minute. Okay, let's talk about my thoughts on the E10. So I did. Where did I put my link? Now I need my phone. I do want to be able to share that, share my phone camera over the internet. That's the word. Filmic Pro on my phone is a great app for being a wireless camera. Cool. So the Sony Rick, yes. Whatever. I'm not judging. Okay. Sony ZV-E10. So Sony ZV-E10, I just dropped a link to that in the chat. That is this little camera, Sony's cross between the ZV-1 and the A6000 line. So it's slightly smaller than the A6000 and slightly larger than the ZV-1, but it has the flip out screen of the ZV-1. So it's basically like if you turned the ZV-1, which is the little tiny point and shoot, into like a grown-up camera, then with interchangeable lenses, you would get the E10. So it's got all the autofocus features of the ZV-1 and that kind of stuff. So my initial impressions are that it is a fantastic camera. I've been really enjoying it. I haven't done too much with it. I've only had it for like a week. And I did buy it. I did not get sent these by Sony. Bought both of them myself. But I like that you can put different lenses on it. I used a 16mm Sigma lens with it primarily, and that's what I'm going to show you in a second over at the table. Let's just go over there actually, and let's go head over there, and then I can show you with a little wireless camera. So I'm going to go pop over to the table. Still need to work on that transition. Oh, I forgot my iPad. I do need a way to control this over here. Okay. So the you can see the lenses in the frame here because my shot's too wide. But what I can do now is show you those two cameras. So I've got there we go. I've got the two cameras up on a little tripod here. You can see they both have the little flippy screens and they're both pointing at me, and I've framed them to be about the same. So the 16mm Sigma lens that's there, that one is much bigger, but it's decently wide angle, and I had to zoom this one in to match, because this one says, you can see on the lens, it says 9.4 to 25.7. So I had to zoom it in to roughly match the framing of the 16mm. And anyway, so they're about the same shot. You'll see when I cut to them in a second, but you can see me in the preview there. And we're gonna take a look at what they look like on the stream. Now, I do have them both set to, default. So like no picture profile, default settings in both of them. And so the only sort of difference is I did swap out the lens on the E10. It's not the stock lens that comes in the kit. So, okay, let's first take a look at the video from the ZV-1. I also want to mention this. Yeah, so here's a ZV-1. If this looks different than what you've seen on my streams before, when I've used the ZV-1, because I have used that on streams quite a bit. If this looks different, this is because this is now wired in. So normally when I use it on the streams, I'm using it with the wireless transmitter so that I can have it as like a little handheld camera. And I don't really know how much artifacts that's introducing. I don't think it's much. Like the picture from these things looks very good. But I do remember somebody commenting before about the stream looking, or the feed from that looking less sharp or something. So anyway, now it's wired in. So this is HDMI into the studio and going right into the stream. I've also got this little overlay so you can see which camera is currently on air. So this is the ZV-1. I think it looks fine. I'm looking at my monitor down here. That's why my eyesight is down, but I also have the tiny little preview over there, which is a lot harder to see. Yeah, I think it looks fine, but let's switch over to the ZV-E10. And again, remember that these are both on their default color settings. So the colors are quite different. You'll notice the background color changed a lot compared to the two cameras. That's one of the big differences I noticed already, is the default colors are quite a bit different. Wired looks so much better. Okay. Is that comment showing up? Okay, good. ZV-1 wired looks even better. Okay. Yeah, the wireless is a potato with a lot of movement. That's a good point. If I'm shaking it around, then the compression is going to, it's going to start messing with the compression. So that, and I was primarily using it as a handheld camera, which meant there was just a constant motion. A little bit overexposed. I don't think so. It's actually set to auto exposure too. So I have it set to shutter speed priority. So they're both at a 60th of a second, and then it's doing auto aperture to adjust the exposure automatically. And yeah, so yeah, the two colors are quite different. But again, these are just the default settings. And if I go back, I can go back around to the back. It's too far for me to reach it here, but I can change into a particular picture profile so we can compare what it looks like when you try to actually control for the colors. Roland says, I'm sure the ZV-E10 is a fine camera, but it lacks the simplicity of the ZV-1 with its included lens and the extended capabilities of one of the larger Sony cameras. That is true. It is not as simple. And because you can just like forget that it's an interchangeable lens and you can just use the default lens that comes with it. But there's more stuff you can do with it, obviously. But again, that's kind of the whole point, is that it is a bigger camera. It is more powerful. The E10 seems to be hunting slightly on the exposure. Oh, interesting point. Let's see. So if I'm just looking at the screen there, it says f2.2 and 2.5. It looks like it's flipping between, actually 2.2 and 2.5 are the three numbers I've seen on that, all at ISO 100. So I could go switch it into manual and see if we can tone that down a bit. Yeah, as your hands and head move. So as I'm changing what lights are in the shot and how much of my hand is visible. The autofocus on these both is fantastic though. So check this out. The E10 focus, it's just It's just right there. That's the big advantage of these. Here's the ZV-1 autofocus. That's the big advantage of these cameras over well, anything else really, is that the autofocus on these is ridiculously good. And you're not going to get that on the Lumix G7 by any means. I would never trust the Lumix G7 with autofocus. I would barely trust any Lumixes with autofocus like that, but definitely not the G7. But that's why I use it at my desk, because I don't change the focus because it's a fixed shot. Is it recommended to use the ZV-10 for commercial purpose, as it is not rugged like the Canon DSLR EOS? Oh, those are very different cameras. I don't know. I mean, what is that? What is commercial purpose? Because like everything is commercial if you're making money from it, right? But it's not nearly as rugged as the big Canons, but it's also a lot smaller, and I think the autofocus is better on the Sonys compared to the Canons too. Is there a record time limit on the ZV-E10? I don't think so. It's telling me I can record 9 hours, and I don't think these have the record limit on them. I'm gonna have to actually check. I don't think so. ZV-1 autofocus is a little bit smoother on that fast hand to the lens. Ooh. Okay. There's that, and then back to me. Oh, I saw it overcompensated on the way back to my face. It went a little bit far the other direction. Let's check out the ZV-1. Oh yeah. This one's a little bit more accurate and doesn't like swing back. Okay, but let me go and change the color profile. So give me a second, and I don't have a way to do this remotely. So the ZV-1, sorry for the audio. ZV-1 is picture profile 1, which is now what you're looking at. Let me change the E10 while I'm here. Picture profile. So, okay. Now these are set to picture profile 1, and I did make a slight change to the picture profile to tweak the coloring a little bit. So I changed one of the color settings. So now here's the ZV-1, and here's the E10. It's still pretty different. Oh, I can definitely see the exposure hunting. So let's go fix that too. Roland says the ZV-1 is still overexposed. The ZV-E10 is more. Comparing portrait creative style between both of them, no picture profile. Oh, and Kombucha is confirming E10 does not have recording limit. Fantastic. Thank you for that. Okay, so the compression artifacts on the green background are from YouTube, probably. Yeah, because I'm doing the thing that you're not supposed to do on YouTube, which is have a gradient background. Okay, so let's go and take a look at, let's lock this into, let's say f2.8. That way I can drop the exposure a little bit. So yeah, it looks better when it's a little bit darker. Now I have to remember how to do this. Changing all the modes. Shoot mode, manual. There we go. So we're going to do, this is 5.6. 3.2. Let's do the ZV-1 also. You know what I should be doing? I should take you around here with me. ATEM, iPhone. Let's route the audio. Now you have my lav mic. Okay. Now I can show you what I'm doing. So, also, let me get the chat off the screen. So, I do want to show you this too because this is interesting. The differences in these menus. One of the way you change the ZV-1, you go into mode, and then you have to press here on this little movie icon, and that's where you then choose what mode you're in. So shutter priority is what I was in before. I'm going to manual exposure now. And now I'm in, so this wheel changes the shutter speed, and then, oh gosh, where's the aperture one? Now I don't remember how to change the aperture on this. Okay, let me go show you how to change the mode in the other one, the E10. Also, they put the HDMI cord on the wrong side. It blocks the screen, and I can't flip the screen around, which is silly. Okay, so on the E10, to change the mode, it's totally different. You press this, if you press this little button on the top, then it's actually it's gonna like toggle, which is cycling through the modes, which is what you were saying a second ago, and I don't like that. So if I press function, then down here in the corner, there's the mode. So you can just choose directly here what mode you're in. So here I'm in manual exposure, and then now it's telling me, see the wheel changes shutter, and then the one up here changes the aperture. So this will change it like that. So I can lock that in 3.2. What I actually don't know, because I've never actually used my ZV-1 in manual mode, I don't see the little aperture icon to be able to adjust the aperture. So we're gonna have to figure that out. But it is in f4 right now, and then it's an auto ISO still. So if I change the ISO to lock it at, let's say, 200, and then let's go back over here and lock this one also at 200 so that they match. Okay. And then this ISO is at, let's just set it to 4 and see how this looks. It looks decently exposed on the screen. Okay, back around, and my little simulator here. So the two cameras now. Let's go back to here. So ZV-1. Oh, that's dark. That almost looks too dark now. I don't know. What do you think? I guess it's technically, it's a little dark on my face. Maybe I just crank this light up. And then the E10 looks like this. So these are now set to both 60th of a second, f4, ISO 200, all locked. And it does look like the E10 is just brighter, interestingly. Roland says ZV-1 looks better in terms of exposure. At least on my side, I think the E10 looks better, but maybe it's different by the time it gets to YouTube. Marcin says, can you try S-Log2 on the camera and add a LUT on the Blackmagic converter? Ooh, that's an interesting idea. I don't think I can do that live. I think that takes too many steps to do. Also, I don't even know what converter it's plugged into in the pile of them down there. That's a good idea. That would be cool. Roland says in terms of contrast and exposure. I think at some point it's just a matter of opinion as to what looks better. E10 is brighter, but ZV-1 has more details. I think they're both. I don't think either one's doing face smoothing. Yeah, neither is on the face smoothing mode, which is a funny mode. The ZV-1 has better skin tones, which is ideal for this kind of setup. Interesting. This is really funny because I personally think the E10 looks more natural and looks better overall in this setup right now. I don't know if it's just the way that it looks on my screen because I'm looking at it on this CTEK monitor, the one that's in the corner of this shot. And oh wow, this is a much brighter picture now. Oh, because I cranked that light up, that's why. I personally think this E10 picture looks better. I think that as far as how it looks on my screen here compared to the ZV-1, this one looks a little bit darker and less. I don't know. It's almost like there's too much detail in my face. But again, I think it might also just be a matter of opinion. So, okay, back to this one, and I got to crank this back down because, wow. Anyway. ZV-E10 looks better, but colors are individual. Yeah, it's a good point. It looks like the E10 has some kind of compression. Interesting. That is surprising. ZV-1 looks better skin tones. That's funny because I still prefer the skin tones on the E10. I like ZV-1 better, but I like sharper and darker, which is definitely not the look I usually go for here. And no, I do the E10. I did switch it for the 16mm lens, just because I like that lens a lot, and I tend to not use kit lenses in general when I can upgrade the lens. The EV10 looks closer. The E10 looks closer to the way you usually have it, though I like the ZV-1, which has more contrast. Yeah, it is just a matter of individual preference, I think. Cool. Well, any other questions you want me to answer about these cameras while I have them set up here? Tones are better, even though it's darker. I agree the ZV-1 has more detail, but it's darker for the feel. ZV-1 feels more personal, and the E10 seems more teaching-oriented. Interesting. I mean, I can also adjust. I can tweak the exposures of both of these further. Now I got to get my light. Really needs a lot more light at this aperture. But I can, of course, adjust them to make them match more closely, even though they're both at the same settings. They are just different lenses, so and different sensors. So the ZV-1 just apparently needs more light. But I could brighten up the ZV-1 picture or darken the E10 picture as well. Both look great if I didn't have them to compare. After looking through your new cameras, Lumix is not looking good. Well, this one's the Blackmagic, which is now overexposed because I keep let me darken this up from my phone. This one I can control wirelessly. I guess there is the Sony app for controlling them wirelessly too. So let me just take this down a notch. There we go. I'm just changing the ISO on the Blackmagic. I guess I could do it that way too. There we go. Does that mean the ZV-E10 would be better in lower light? Yeah, I believe so, because the sensor is bigger, and the lens I'm using is a lot bigger too, so it can just have more light. Sony Imaging Edge app, that is the one, yes. And oh yeah, I've only used that to download pictures. And I just realized that I'm still on the lav mic, and I should probably switch back to my other mic. Can I have both of these open? That is... Okay, now we're back onto the microphone. The CTEK monitor is a bit warm in my opinion. So that is another factor here, is that's what I've been looking at when I am comparing these cameras. So that could be affecting it. Okay, so other questions coming in about the camera. Yeah, Roland says, I end up adjusting the color on the CTEK to cool it down a bit. Yeah. So that's affecting how I'm looking at the pictures. I should probably pull out another monitor just to compare. What about remote control features? Yeah, so the Sony Imaging Edge app is the one that you would use for this. And I don't think I have it connected to, yeah, I don't have it on the E10 yet, but I do have it set up to control the ZV-1. And I can actually do that right here. So if we go, do I have a super source? Oh, no, I don't have it. I don't have it set up. Never mind. Do you think the ZV-1 will reduce in price? That would make an even better deal. I don't think, I think they would have reduced the price already if they were going to. Wild guess, of course, but they're about the same price right now. I think they're like $50 different. And to me, that actually seems fine because they're like, with the kit lens, they're roughly equivalent. So, do you have the ND filter off on the ZV-1? I do. I do have it off right now. How is the warping? That would depend on the lens. So on the ZV-E10, this is the 16mm Sigma. So I don't know. I don't have anything to like. I have my little color card. I can put it up in the corner and see if see how it looks in the corners. It's looking good. And then ZV-1, this is zoomed in slightly. I tried to match the field of view. And it's good. It's very good. Cool. Okay. Let me go back over to the desk so I can show you some other cool stuff here. What I wanted to show, I wanted to show you how I did the little overlays because I think that was actually pretty cool. Bill says ZV-1 is much better across the spectrum. Yeah, I don't know. I've been impressed with the E10, honestly. And if I ever get a second one of these, I think it's going to be the E10 because, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Is this so much more bright now that we're back on the setup? Yeah, I darkened that scene quite a bit. Hardy says, can you talk more about LUTs, what you use or are using on the Pocket 4K? Yeah, I do. So what I did with the Pocket 4K is I created a LUT to make it very close to matching this G7. I like the way that the colors look in this camera, straight out of the camera. And I also really like that I don't have to like fuss with anything to make this one work. So what I did was created a LUT for the Pocket 4K, and that is that way it matches very closely to this. And then that's loaded into the camera so that its HDMI out is already that color. You can, on the camera, you can change to whether you want the HDMI out to be pre or post LUT in case you want to record, and you can also change what you record. So if you want to record the non-LUT version, you can do that. But I like just having it output the finished look into the studio so that I don't have to mess with anything later. That's how I use it. Yes, the 10, it comes in white. Oh yeah, so I did get the white version because I like it. And they did release the ZV-1 in white also. However, it was like months after the original came out. So I bought the original one shortly after it came out, and then they made the white one, and I was like, well, shoot, I want the white one now, and I don't really want to have two of them. So if you do want to help me out here, if you are looking at buying the ZV-1, I will sell you mine, because then I can justify replacing it with the white one. And I actually did make a little posting for it too, because I would like to get the white one. So here, I'll drop this link here. I put it on Gear Focus. I keep meaning to actually go and put more of my stuff on here because I need to sell stuff. I have too many things and I need to sell some of them. Anyway, if you want the ZV-1, if you want my ZV-1, you can get it for $100 off of the price, because it is still effectively, it is in very, very good condition. And as you can see, so if you want a discount on that, if you are thinking about buying it, if you buy mine, I will then use that to buy the white one, because I do want the camera. I just want it in white. Okay. I like the depth of field on my ZV-1. I guess it depends on the lens you put on the E10. It does, absolutely. Yep. The lens on the stock lens, the kit lens that comes with, is it's a zoom lens, power zoom, so you can actually use it like the ZV-1, where you can do the wheel and it'll zoom in and out. But the reason I don't like the cheap zoom lenses is because they are variable aperture. So when you are zoomed in, let me show you this. So this is what the kit lens looks like. It's 3.5 to 5.6, which means when you're zoomed out, you get aperture down to 3.5, and when you zoom in, you can only get up to 5.6. So you can't you can't keep the aperture the same as you're zooming in and out. So you're always going to be adjusting your exposure when you're doing that. If you have auto exposure on, it's fine, whatever, like it doesn't matter, but I prefer having the lenses that are fixed aperture across the whole zoom. So the manufacturer should trade you to get the white one. Yeah, I don't think I'm high enough up in Sony's PR list to do that. I sold my ZV-1 and replaced it with an A7S III. Well, that's an upgrade. That is an upgrade. To choose between aperture and shutter speed on ZV-1, you have to press control wheel down. Oh, wow. Okay. I might have to go try that. You can keep the same aperture setting manually to 5.6. Yeah, but you don't get to use the full range of the aperture of that lens then. Does the app change the power zoom? Ooh, I don't know. Maybe I should go pair that so we can try out the app. And then I have to make a super source layout to do that. If you don't mind hanging out with me while I do that, I can do that. Are you thinking of getting a white lens for the E10? Do they make white lenses? I haven't seen any. I would, absolutely, if I can get that Sigma lens in white. I like the ZV-1 and RX0 for travel, less bulky. Absolutely. Less bulk is great. Okay, so first let me show you something cool in Companion, because I'm very pleased with how this worked. So here's my Companion for this show. What I did today, normally I have, let let's see, I think it's page 19. This is what I was using earlier. So I have these 3 buttons to switch between the 3 cameras, the main shot of the table, the E10, and the ZV-1. And if I press the button, it cuts to that camera, and notice that the overlay appeared. And the overlay switches when I go to that camera, and then it's off when I'm there and come back to super source. What I did was, rather than, normally what I would have done was like programmed a series of actions in here, like the cut to this angle and bring on the downstream key and load a particular graphic and that kind of stuff. But I wanted to try something different today, which was using triggers in Companion. Because what that means is that if I use the buttons on the ATEM to switch to those angles, if I press 5 and I press 6, I'm using the actual buttons on the ATEM to change those angles, and the graphics still show up, which is pretty cool. So what I did there was using triggers in Companion. You make a trigger, which is when the ATEM Mini Extreme program is set to this input by anything, then it'll run these actions. So that's where I load in the ZV-E10 graphic into the media pool and bring the downstream key on air. I did the same one with the ZV-1. It watches for the program input to switch to input 6, and then it will load in the ZV-1 overlay and bring that on air. And then to remove the graphics, I had to unfortunately make one for every other input, which I feel like is kind of silly, and because you can't make an or condition. If you add more conditions, it's like an and then they're never all met. So I had to make one condition for each other angle, which removes the key, or removes the key from the air, which is pretty cool. This is a new feature. It's like in their latest, one of their latest builds. Their versioning, someone needs to have a conversation with them about their version numbers, because we've been on 2.2.0 for a long time, and there's a lot of new features in here, and it's not yet released, and it does quite a lot different compared to 2.2.0 from 3 months ago. Anyway, but yeah, I'm running some beta 11.961D, 9D, 3530, whatever. But this is how I was able to get the labels, and the cool thing is that it doesn't matter how you switch those inputs to get them, the graphics will just come on air. And oh, thanks Lynn for the super chat. That's pretty awesome. Totally worth the super chat. Thanks for sharing that. Appreciate it. The pretty cool trick. I am very excited about these new triggers. You can also create ones that are like time-based. So if you want something to just run at a certain time every day, if you want to like start and stop your stream automatically, you can do that. If you want to do time interval every 5 minutes, do something, whatever, or seconds. If you want to like have auto switching camera angles and you didn't want to use a macro for it, which is harder to set up as a macro. But if you want to do it in Companion, you can just say every 3 seconds, cut to a different input. You can, I guess you would have to, it'd be complicated to do that. You have to do a variable thing in order to be able to increment it. But anyway, cool stuff. And again, this is beta, so it'll probably have more capabilities by the time it makes it into one of their official releases, whenever they end up doing that. Have you found the beta of Companion to be stable? Yeah, they tend to just like pack in new, what do they call them? Modules. Is that the word? Yeah, modules for additional hardware. So like the Web Presenter HD was released at some point in the past when 2.2.0 was still being developed. So they added the Web Presenter module, and then that can show up in as a device now. But I haven't had any like crashy issues with it, which is cool. And I've been running this beta for a while. Yeah, usually pretty stable as it just adds specific device or function. Roland says, do you back up your Companion settings before upgrading? If so, via SCP, I do. So definitely backing it up. And basically I just go into, where is it? Buttons, import, export. I just do export full configuration, and it just gives you a file. So it just gives you a file to download, and that's how I do it. And I thankfully haven't had to restore from the backup because I haven't had any trouble with the upgrade yet. Triggers can be used to auto-change pages on Companion, so you always have the page for that. Oh, interesting. Cool, okay. Oh, that wasn't for me. I spent quite some time just typing in ATEM in the search and playing with all the functions. Now I have button backgrounds change depending on what the ATEM is doing. Yeah, right. So the feedback on the buttons is the other thing you can do with it. So these are the like the presets is what they call them. So if you go into here, you can just like find the program button for the different things and drag it in. So if I'll make one for that one should be actually called table. Oh, that one. Yeah, that one was the default. So I just drag these in, right? And it's got like the short name variable, and it has feedback on it so that if I press it, oh, now, of course. Let me go add one for SuperSource. So if I go back in here and add program SuperSource, here we go. So the feedback on this button colors it red when the input is set to SuperSource. So you can choose to make the buttons look different based on what is active and things like that. But their presets are really useful because most of the time you just want like, your program button for the different cameras or whatever. You're not necessarily doing complicated actions with them, or you can start with this as just the default and then add things to it. So you can add actions. So I could have done the overlays this way, right? Where I have this button also do the downstream key or load the media player graphic, but I wanted to use the triggers for that today because I thought it was kind of fun. Could you enable clear image zoom and control that from within Companion? Clear image zoom. I don't know what that is. Oh, okay, so yeah, if you are installing the Companion Pi image, if you get their Companion Pi image and install it that way, then it is a blank slate and you have to export and import your settings. But what I did was, and yeah, Roland's asking this, what I did was installed it manually. So I went through their manual install process, which is documented on their website, like on their wiki, and basically install Raspberry Pi OS, and then you go through the steps of downloading the source and compiling all the nonsense. But it means that I can very quickly upgrade in place. I can just pull down the latest, upgrade it in place, and it works great now. I don't know if I would recommend that for most people because the Companion Pi image is just so much easier to set up, but I do like that I can upgrade it quickly. Can you do a more detailed walkthrough to what you're doing with the trigger? Was that before I showed you that? Because I thought I explained it, but I can show you it again. So these are the triggers I already created, but basically what I'll go from scratch and recreate it. So what you do, you say add new trigger. Actually, let me just delete the E10. So I add a new trigger. I call it Sony ZV-E10. This confused me. It sets this condition by default, and that was confusing to me. So I delete that, and then here you can say add. Here's all the different triggers, right? So you can say like I've got to tie into Home Assistant. So if a light turns on, I can have Companion do something. I can make it stop the stream when I turn off my lights, for example. But what I'm going to do is find the ATEM Mini Extreme program tally, and then you can choose what input. So basically what this is, it's a condition. It says if the ATEM's program is set to input 5, which is what mine is called, 5 ZV-E10, then do these actions. And the action will be, again, these are everything you can do in Companion buttons. You could actually probably do, let's see, internal. you could actually have, if you had a button set elsewhere in Companion, you could make the action press the button so you don't have to reprogram all of your actions. But what I did was media player set source to the ZV-E10 graphic, which looks like this. And I have it black letters on white, slightly transparent. This one is white letters on black, slightly transparent, so you can't see the black transparency. Set that as the media player 1, and then downstream key on air key 1. And then the downstream key was already set up, and I don't have anything else that changes downstream key in my show. So the downstream key is set to media player 1 and the key, and it is pre-multiply because that is how I made my graphic. And that doesn't change throughout the show. So when I say on air, it brings that graphic in on air. So if I do that right now, you'll see it down below, right? So that's what that's doing. And then I did that for the ZV-1. And then I had to create the how to take it off air. And this was the one that was annoying because I had to make it 7 times. So I made a similar feedback or condition for when I switch back to the main camera, input 1. Then the action is you take the downstream key off air. And I do that for each of the other inputs, input 2, 3, 4, and super source as well. And then if I switch to that camera, it loads in and the media, and then I switch back to me and it takes it off air. And you may notice that it is not perfect. And that is because the companion is watching the ATEM status, and then it has to react, so it takes time. So when I cut, there's like a frame where there's no overlay. So actually, you know what I should do to sort of cover that up is let's go back to here and change it to, I want not on air, I want auto. I want the downstream key auto transition, and that'll fade it up. So, and then I actually need to make sure it is off air before that. So we're going to set it off because if I'm coming from the other camera, I don't want to fade it out. We're going to wait 10 milliseconds and then it'll fade up. So now if I go cut to, what is this one? ZV-1, that's input 6. So it should fade the transition in. Nope. Oh, I didn't save it yet. That was smart. Let's click the save button. Try that again. So it does the little fade in that way. I could do the same thing on the way out as well. And the fade rate is controlled here. So I have it set to 1 second, which I think is too long. So I can change that to, can't I type in that? 0.15. It should be half a second. So now if I go cut to that, fades in, and then let's do the fade out. Fade out would be, let me do it on the super source. So that would be, instead of on air, we're going to say the auto downstream key on key 1. So this should work. Why is it on? Oh, because now the problem is this one might not work. Okay, so 6 should fade it in, and then cutting back should, why didn't that work? We may not be able to use the auto transition for the fade out. That's too bad. We need, at some point, we need to tell it, no, just turn it off, really. So fade in, and then we just cut. That's not too bad. Yeah, okay, that was fun. Roland says, I have a feeling I'm going to end up with multiple devices to control the ATEM. Absolutely. The companion plus mix effect, and I think those are two great options. it would have to transition before you cut the camera. Oh, I may have to have the tie button on for that to work. Anyway, not important. If you want to figure it out, you can figure it out. Philip says, hi, everyone joining late today. What have I missed aside from everything? Pretty much everything. Yeah. Okay, but we were going to go and tweak something on the camera. What were we going to tweak? No, I forgot. Oh, I was going to connect my phone to it. That's what we were going to do. So I need a new super source layout. And I need super source on mix effect. That is the easiest way to make a super source layout by far. So what do I want to show you? I want to show you my phone screen and my phone screen to show you this app. How are we going to do this? We are going to bring in a Oh, Chris says, I guess super stickers don't trigger anything. Oh, well, thanks for the super sticker. I see on my other screen. I guess my script doesn't pull those down. I appreciate the super sticker. It says thanks. I can't show it on the screen either. Side-by-side comparisons of both cameras. Sure, we can do that. So we can do actual side-by-side. Well, I did flipping back and forth, but I can put both on a super source. So for example, if I take box 1 and set it to box 1 set to the E10, box 2 is set to ZV-1, and then my overlays are confused. I need to go to overlay for them because otherwise you have no idea which one's which. Yeah, that's not helpful. So let's go make an overlay. We'll put the E10 on the left, and we'll put the ZV-1 on the right. And then let's scoot the whole thing down a bit. Okay, export that into the ATEM. Both cameras, slot 13. Okay, so now what I can do is in the ATEM, set my media player to 13. And let me just disable those triggers. Disable that one. Disable that one and disable that one. Okay, now I have an overlay. So if I turn downstream key 1 on, I can get those cameras set up. So let's go 2 up, and the E10 will be on box 1, and ZV-1 is over there. Now those line up. So on my lav mic now, I can come back into the frame, and now we can see the two cameras. I definitely like the look of the E10 better, but let me go switch my monitor over here to the multi-view so I can see different colors. Go. Okay. Oh. The colors on this are completely different than this monitor. This is my Dell 27-inch over here, and it's not a fancy monitor, so I'm kind of inclined to not believe it. The colors look quite different. And I do think the E10 looks a lot more yellow over here compared to over here. It looks more natural on this monitor. And the ZV-1, this monitor makes the ZV-1 look pink, but in this one, the ZV-1 looks more natural. So that's interesting. Okay. But I need that to be my computer screen so I can actually see what's going on. And what I would like to do now is also show you the phone screen. ZV-1 is pinker, more natural. The skin colors look more natural on the ZV-1. ZV-E10 looks more yellowish. So we can also go tweak the colors, because again, these are set to picture profiles now, so I can tweak them. And ZV-E10 is half a stop brighter and more yellow. Yeah, this monitor is not at all color calibrated. I believe it. Can you correct the exposure on the ZV-1 so that they have the same brightness? Yeah, I can. So let's go do that. And I should be able to, let's see, keep the super source layout. Yeah. But I want to show you the settings. So go back here. Cool. So let's try to make these match. I can't flip the screen around that HDMI port. That's the one fatal flaw here. Can't flip it. There we go. Okay. That's awkward. So they are set to the same thing, and I just need to brighten this one up a little bit. Exposure comp, no. Okay, wait, where was the setting for aperture on this? Aha, if I press down on that, it switches between aperture and shutter. So let's go brighten this one up a little bit. How do I, can I compare the image on the two screens? Let's see how that looked. Back around here and back to super source. So, oh, now I need my key on. There we go. That looks a lot closer now. That looks almost exactly the same exposure. Did I see a color chart on this? Can you show it with both cameras? Yeah, the colors are different still, but I am also, again, I mess with the picture profile. How do you send your video signal from your phone to the ATEM? Oh, good question. This is using AirPlay. So I have the Filmic Pro app installed, and it is doing AirPlay, just AirPlay mirroring of the phone screen over into the ATEM and or into the Apple TV, which is plugged into the ATEM. Now that it's apples to apples and so similar. Now the ZV-1 looks a little bit brighter. I like your hair color on the E10 better now. Okay, so let's take a look at let's try to make the greens match, because see how the green background doesn't match at all? So let me go back to the phone. So I can show you the settings back here. I ran out of cameras, otherwise I would have. Oh gosh, you know what? It's really hard for me to tell, looking at these two screens, that the colors are different. They look, I don't know if you can see in this video, but yeah, I have no idea if it's showing you what it looks like on the stream, but as I'm looking at the two screens, the colors look basically the same. So I can't adjust them using that as a reference. I have to look at my monitor that's far away to adjust it. So if I go into, if I go into the picture profile, where was that? Menu, picture profile 1. So one of the changes here was this color phase. And if I set this, can you see how different those two are? That's what this is doing. And I want them to match. I need this monitor here so I can see those two pictures. There we go. So now I'm going to look at those two and try to get them to match. So here you can kind of see what I'm doing now. There we go. That's too much. And that's too much the other way. So I want it like, I think it's like 2. And then, if I just go grab my iPad, if we go back to the side-by-side, that's a lot closer. I'm pretty happy with that. Let's stick with that. Okay. That means, get back over here, spin this back around. I need this on a little swivel, apparently. So how are we feeling about these pictures now? White balance in manual is better than auto white. I think I had them both in manual. Oh, I really hope. I really hope I had them both in manual. The other thing that might throw it off is a slightly different angle. Yeah, because this light is at a different angle compared to the two, but it's ever so slight, and I think it's close enough. Match. Cool, okay. Let me just double check that I didn't do something stupid with the auto white balance. So we should on the ZV-1 have, I never remember where these things are. And the menus are a little bit different on the two. Focus, exposure. Here it is, white balance, auto. Aha! Let's fix that. Wow, look at all the colors. Okay, let's set it to probably 5600. Let's just set them to both 5600. Okay. And then over here, white balance. Oops, nope. Back to fun colors. No, we're going to set it to 56. Okay. So how are we looking now with these two? Oh, now they're different again. Now they're super different. Wow. We're back to the completely different pictures. So that's why I started messing with the picture profile. Let's do this again. completely different colors now. And I think the E10 is more accurate. So if you compare it to the camera, the one at the table and my Lumix, the E10 matches a lot more closely. The phone is not doing a great job of showing you this, but I think you can see it. That's quite a lot bluer. So we're going to fix that in the ZV-1 then. We're going to go and I guess we're going to change the picture profile because I do want the white balance to be that. So we're going to go back into, I did add picture profile to the special menu. Picture profile 1, and we're going to go and change color, color phase. Now I have to look at the screen down there. Okay, so that's too much. 7? God, that seems like a lot. But it really does need to go up. Okay, how about now? Nope, not quite. Wow, wow, that's so different. Okay. Oh my God, now I look pink. So, man, the ZV-1 is just... It's just giving me no end of trouble here. Okay. Because the greens match, but the pinks don't now. Yeah. What are we gonna do? Okay, we're gonna have to mess with this again. I need myself. I need somebody else here. Try with no picture profile and portrait mode. Okay, let's do that. So we're gonna go and drop out of. I'm gonna set that back to just 2, but we're gonna go and switch these. So no picture profile, and over here we do no picture profile, and then we can compare those two on the stream. No picture profile. And then we're going to go into the ZV-1 and go into that portrait mode, which, let me see if I remember how to do that. Soft skin effect. White balance 5600, good. It's not in the function menu. It's in annual exposure focus. Oh, I think it's in the actual, like, this one. Okay. Auto? No. Oh my God, somebody tell me how to get it into portrait mode. No. Manual exposure. I do want that. Now I can't see the chat from over here. Fatal flaw with using these cameras. Speaking of, let me get it connected wirelessly. So while I'm up here, menu, network, control with smartphone, on, connection, Wi-Fi, standby. Okay, now I can do that. So, oh, interesting that it's black. I don't know if I can get my phone working with this. It just says unable to join. Yeah, that's not Not helpful. Could not establish connection. Sure, send a report. Okay, great. I do not like wireless control of cameras in general. Anyway. Okay, got the picture back. So, somebody want to tell me how to get it into that portrait mode? Under creative styles. Manual mode, find creative styles for portrait mode. And the phone app can't even do that. Okay. Okay, so actually the Blackmagic camera. This is a good point. I do use the app called Bluetooth Plus. And this is what it looks like for the Blackmagic camera. It's not Blackmagic's app, but it has a lot of different settings that you can adjust in it. Interesting that I have my white balance set to 4800 on that camera. But you can change focus from here. You can change shutter speed and all that. You can even like turn on the false color so that if you want to, which is kind of interesting from the phone. But yeah, you can turn on grids and stuff. It's cool. This I do use, and this one seems to work fine. I don't have trouble with this app. I have not had a good experience with Lumix or Sony's apps, though. And yeah, I also don't use the Blackmagic app. Okay, so we're going to go back and try to find this Creative Styles menu. You get another look around my messy studio. So, okay, we're going to go and leave the EV-10 alone because I like its colors, but we're trying to find menu creative styles. Oh, it wasn't there. Is it in this one? Focus, focus, exposure. No. Aha, creative style. Standard, vivid, portrait. Oh, I just realized I was not showing you this camera the whole time. Okay, let me try that. Let me show you where that is. It is a number 9 out of 12. It is creative style, and it is set to standard, vivid, portrait. We're going to go and lock it into portrait mode. We're going to do the same thing on the E10. Hopefully it's in roughly the same spot in the menu. So let's see if it's on screen. Oh, 8 over here. Standard, vivid, portrait. Now, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Look at this. Those are, the white balance is the same. We've set the white balance manually. We've set it to, where was it? Oh my gosh. White balance, 5600. White balance, 5600. Now they look different on the back LCDs too. So I cannot even handle how different these are. But hey, actually the skin tones look a lot more similar. Just make sure you don't have any LUTs on the HDMI to SDI converters. I don't, no. I have not loaded LUTs onto any of my converters yet. This is shockingly different greens and blues, but interestingly, the face tones are very, very similar. Portrait is slightly bluer on the ZV-1. I think so. It's really hard to tell now that the background is so different. So when you turn around and look at your wall, which camera member better reflects reality? Good question. Honestly, neither. The wall looks to me somewhere in between the two. It's somewhere in between the two. But hey, you know what? This is an RGB LED, so we can change it. So let's go make it sickly green. Now they're a lot closer. I should move this. That makes sense that they're very near the same in the yellows and oranges and reds. And you can see this. This is the one problem with this light, is it has almost no variation between pink, like around the red edge of the spectrum. I can't do fine adjustments. Matching, and then we're probably going to start to see it differing now as we're getting into the blues. Oh, interesting. That actually the blues look the same. It's not until we start adding green. Look at that. Look at that. The blues look the same. It's just there. It happens to be the one color that I have my background set to that it just cannot handle. Fascinating. But yeah, neither of these is representing, at least on this monitor. Yeah, same on the other monitor. Live color matching camera is very useful stuff. Green is typically carried in the luminance channel in most digital cameras. Larger sensor in the ZV-E10 means greater luminance in that part of the spectrum. Interesting. And yeah, as you sweep the spectrum, the two cameras are looking more similar, all except for this particular color that I happen to be using as my background color. They're not the same sensor, so they are different sensors. The E10 has the sensor of the A6400, is what I've heard, which is the camera up here, which is not on right now because I had to take the DC coupler out for the E10. Green is the longest color range sensitivity in CMOS and CCD sensors. Yeah, that's fascinating. What a difference. But if I just pull it back to blue, then all of a sudden they agree again. So it's interesting because green is going to be a lot of the outdoor shots are going to have a lot of green in them. So weird. Okay. Anyway, that was a fun little experiment. We learned something today. And this is in the, again, this is in the portrait color creative style. So if we go back and let's try another one. Let me see if I can remember to switch to my phone camera this time. And if we go and do, we were at white balance, that's fine. We're going to keep the white balance. We're going to set creative style, landscape, sunset, black and white, sepia. Cool, I can just do my stream like this from now on. No, we're going to turn this off, standard. We're not going to customize it. Okay, standard. Picture profile. Going to go back to, oh, I should change my background light. Back to, see what my phone thinks of this. Back to about there. And then I'm going to change this one back to off. I was a lot closer when I had it set to the picture profile. Okay, now we need to adjust. What I want a super source layout with my phone and and the super source. I want that, but I also want my phone screen. So let's go do this on this app. Can I do this? Can I add in box 3 to be my Apple TV? Box 3 on, and let's move it up. Oh, it's behind it. That's not great. We're gonna have to move these down a little bit. Live demo of Mix Effect, box 2, down 1.9. No, that doesn't work. It's very hard to get an exact number. Okay, there. Oh, look at that. Okay, box 3 is up there. So now if I go back to the super source, cool. That one needs to go over a little bit. Now I can show you this. Oh, let's get the downstream key back on. This is what I wanted to show you. So what we can do is go back in here and change color phase to make it a little bit closer. I should be able to go and change individual colors too, right? So if we were saying this one didn't have enough green. So what if we up the green on the ZV-1? I don't see it doing anything. I need this one again. Difference between -7 and +7. We should see a big difference. It's not really. Oh, I see it. Look at the Mac. Interesting. It's really only affecting it there. So that doesn't have as much of an effect as I want. What I was hoping to do was just up the amount of green showing up in this shot. What if we do it with cyan? Aha, there we go. So let's make it look. Let's tweak it a little bit like that. We are just having some fun here. Okay, color phase. The color phase up at +5 and 6 looks the same with the greens, but I think then my hand starts looking totally different. Yeah, look at the difference in those colors. It's no good. Let's make this light, give that some more light. It's so much more pink. So maybe we can reduce some of the pink too. Maybe that's the other way to handle it. So, okay, we'll keep that one up here at like 5. And then let's go back into color depth and change the magentas. We should see oh, you can't really see it in the shot. I have to show you my wall. Oh yeah, look at this. My wall looks like a completely different color. This one looks pink, and it should be looking a lot more closer to like coral. So it's really just changing the brightness of that. That's the color phase doing that, isn't it? Yep. But then if we go back down, we end up with super blue. Oh, look at, you can see the stabilization is doing totally different things too when I pan it. The E10 is like slower to that's fascinating. Okay. I don't know what to do about this. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get these to match at all, because I feel like if as soon as I get the blues to match, then the pinks are just way off. No picture profile. Picture profile 1. Are there any of these that look even remotely? Maybe this one, and then we just up the contrast and saturation. No. Okay, let's abandon this. Off. And what was this one set to? Picture profile off. I thought I had made a picture profile for my ZV-1 that was like half decent, but apparently I have not. Okay. So now I don't want SuperSource box 3. Get out of here. Box 3. Okay. Catching up on the comments, since I couldn't see the comments from over there. And this is what my Blackmagic camera looks like. The human eye is most sensitive to green. Makes sense, since that is the color of the outside place. Can you rotate your A6400 to match the ZV cameras and compare the colors? I'm guessing it would match the E10 because it is the same sensor, but also I can't, because I can't power both of them. And I ran out of HDMI cables too. This reminds me of getting 35mm slides. Some films were stupidly green. How are we seeing your phone? That is through AirPlay and the Filmic Pro app. Would it be easier using a color card for reference? Probably. Just for posterity, it's not the best lit right there. There's more light here. How about that? Yeah, definite differences in the green blues. Apple TV is the HDMI source. Yep, that's the one. Might be why skin tones match, but not the background. Portrait mode, yeah. So portrait mode is apparently prioritizing matching the face tones. The lens can make more of a difference in coloration than one might think. This is interesting because I have the ZV-1 and the ZV-E10. I am curious to hear what your thoughts are on those two differences, because I did not expect them to be so difficult to match. Let's try moving this back up so that it's centered. Apparently I can go in increments of 0.01 on that layout. There we go. Oh, and I left my overlay disappeared. Let's bring that trigger back on. The overlay on. I need a new trigger for that. SuperSource overlay. When the program is, I don't want to change my SuperSource layout because I didn't save it. When the SuperSource is the active program, sorry you can't see this, then Downstream key is on air, and go. Cool. Now when I switch back and forth between that and that, that one comes back. Great. Are you trying to match the color on your super source art? No, that's actually different than my studio colors. So I have two kind of different color schemes going on in the space. The walls are, how do I describe it? It's like a, it's not pink. It's like a coral, and then the other wall is like a pretty strong teal on the green side of teal. But the background colors on my super source are like a off red and then a blue and a green. They are definitely different than the walls. The E10 looks like it has an easy ease built in. Yeah. I have the A6400 as well. I'm a Canon user that's making the switch. Well, you're going to love the autofocus on these because holy crap. The Sigma 16 1.4 is much better lens than the ZV-1 built in, and the stabilization on the E10 is way better. Yep. Portrait mode seemed to cover the full spectrum a little better. Yeah, interesting. Aaron is going to have kittens when he sees how the chat has exploded. Yeah, I should really have rigged up a way for me to see the chat while I was behind the cameras. To make these cameras match, you'll need to customize a picture profile and shoot a gray card. Yeah. Do they have built-in white balance? Oh yeah, when we were, so that was interesting. When we had the white balance set to auto, I was able to get them to match a lot closer. That is an interesting one. That's what I can do. So that's how I was most happy with the look of them. So if I go back to, that's right, I forgot that we can also change the white balance. Okay. Flip that one around. I can see it. What I'm going to do, last change here, is the white balance on the ZV-1. We're just going to change it. Until they match closer. Ooh, the chair is getting really yellow. So what if we go down to like 66 instead of 56? It's closer. How's my skin tone? That's pretty close. And then if we go back to this one with a little bit of tweaks on the color phase, very close, and I might be okay with this. And then back over here, let's try to get this one to match just a little bit better. So let's set the picture profile. And then in here, we can set the color phase that way. -2. And how is my skin? That's pretty good. Okay. So get rid of that. How are we looking now? I'm still a little bit pink on the, oops, where'd my overlay go? There it goes. Still a little bit pink on the ZV-1, but I think it's looking a lot better, and the background is close on the two. I am thinking the 10 would match the A6400. I would guess so because it is the A6400's sensor in the E10. Can you swap the lens? I didn't bring the kit lens. I don't have it here. Yeah, I should have brought the kit lens in. Yeah, auto white balance will shift around. So I did. Now it's set to 6400 or 6600 on the ZV-1, and the E10 is set to 5600. So it's definitely differences in the colors, but I think I like the way that both of these are looking better now. The A7 III, I have never played with one, but I've heard very good things. I recently got both the A6400 and the ZV-E10, and I'm loving the color out of the camera. I switched my main camera for the Swift focus system, totally. I think that maybe trying to match the ZV-1 to this is a losing battle. The E10 looks green now. Is this my monitor messing with the colors? Anybody else think it's too green? Loving how he's utilizing his iPhone with the Apple TV and AirPlay. It is a cool little trick. Yeah, okay. I don't think I have, I might have I do have a 20mm lens up here on this camera. We could pop that one in and see how that one does. This is the product shot mode. This is the Sony 20mm that I usually have for my overhead shot. And yeah, we can see how this does. E10 looks green shift. ZV-1 is magenta. Also, just change your background to a different color. Yeah, totally. Can you white balance to a card? I should probably do that. I don't even know if I can put this in the shot somewhere reasonably. I'd need it on a little tripod or something. Would you rather see me try to white balance to this color chart or swap the lens out? Okay. And then bring back my phone. I need to move these boxes down a little bit. Swap the lens, people say. Okay, let's do that first. So here is going to be, turn this one off. Let's pop the 20. Oh, so side note, this is why the Blackmagic, the auto switching modes in the Blackmagic converters, well, I don't like that, because now you're getting something on that feed, and I don't even know what it is in that box. I have no idea what source that is, and that is, I really would rather it just goes black right now. Anyway, let's get that lens back on there. 20mm, turn the camera back on, and then it should pop back in, and the converter should switch modes. Come on, there it goes. No picture. Okay. Why no picture? Let's unplug the converter, unplug the HDMI, and plug it back in. There it goes. Okay, fun. So this is the 20mm Sony lens, and I can't get enough of, I can get the colors in the shot, and now it's hard for me to see it. I have to be down here at an angle. How are we looking here? One more device for chat. That's what I can do. colors are different. So what are we going to do? What are we going to do? The colors of this lens are different? Is that what you mean? I don't have a good way to compare that. I think the lens swap is making it look more similar. Interesting. Okay, so it does look very, very close to me. So let's undo the little picture profile customizations that I did. So if we go and go back into here, keep it in picture profile 1, but let's go and change the color phases back to 0 on both of them. And how do these look? Now we're looking pretty different again. So that color phase did help. Swap to the Sony ZV-1 20mm colors are closer. Yeah, okay. But I agree we were too green on when I had, so let's just go back to no picture profile there, no picture profile here. How are these when they're both on defaults? Definitely different, but maybe that's okay. Oh, do you still have the white balance set to 6600 on the ZV-1? I do. Yes, I do. Let's fix that. Let's go back to the white balance here and change that back to 56. Oh, but that just made it way, way different. Yeah, we have to go way up there in order to get it closer to that green. It's just that green is just not coming through as much on this sensor. All right. This has been a fun experiment, but I don't know what the conclusion here is. I don't know if I have a good conclusion to this. Yeah. This has been fun, though. Learned some things. Oh, my little boxes are off. Didn't notice that, sorry. Yeah. Well, okay. Let's not fiddle with this anymore. This is interesting, but whew, those colors. Okay. I see some people dropping out anyway. Okay. Where? Randy's out. Thanks for joining. Thanks for coming by. Graham says, I have multiple screens. The more expensive ones show good matching, while cheap ones emphasize the green. Interesting. Okay. It can feel like chasing ghosts when one color shifts as the original one is correct and dial in. Color issues can take up lots of time. Yep. Yep, that's what we learned. That's what we learned today. Oh, I lost my overlays. Why did I lose my overlays? Let's go back to here. Okay. The E10 is on the 20mm, so it's zoomed in more now because it was on the 16 before. Conclusion is the larger ZV-E10 has a wider gamut, especially in green, due to luminance. Lens also made a not insignificant difference. Conclusion, you have to use the same camera. Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like that is one of the takeaways here, is that trying to match the ZV-1 to the ZV-E10 is probably not going to happen. just because they are completely different kinds of cameras. And if you did want to match your colors better than same cameras, and or at least the A6400 with the ZV-E10, since it's the same. Skin tones are pretty close right at this moment. That makes sense because it's not green. And they're both in now the default mode with the same white balance set. Cool. Well, that was fun. Is there anything else to... We are way past time, so we're not going to keep going. It helps me be happy with Blackmagic all the time. Yep, the Blackmagic cameras are good too, for sure. Try another day with logs and LUTs. That could be interesting. I'm not good enough at doing color grading, I feel like, to do that well, but definitely could be another approach. Do the LUTs in the little SDI converters. But then I have to actually like figure out which converters are doing what. I like the ZV-E10 better for functionality with the exception of the whole screen. What's the screen? Oh, blocking the HDMI, or HDMI cable blocking the screen. I feel like that was just... There's always one thing with these cameras. The ZV-1 flippy screen is great because it doesn't get blocked by anything. It's just out there by itself. And then the problem is that the tripod screw blocks the battery case, so you can't power it continuously. Unless you have it on this little stand that I've got it on. I've got it on a little UU rig bracket so that you can get a wire under there. But then on the E10, it's great because you can put a tripod screw in there and power it continuously. But then the HDMI cables block the screen. So it's like they fixed one problem, but then created another one. So cool. The other thing I should mention about these is I am powering both of these on DC power, USB. So I have little adapters. I think they're linked down below. And the batteries in these don't last long enough to do this stream, certainly. So they're powered via little DC couplers. They both have USB ports. I was not able to run them continuously over USB. So what happens is, I've talked about this on the ZV-1 a bunch, but ZV-1 ends up unable to charge the battery fast enough, I guess, so it thinks the battery is dying and then it shuts off. And the same thing happened with the E10. I, yesterday and this morning, had it powered via USB. It lasted for a while. It said it was being powered, but the battery was still draining, and eventually it got low enough that the whole thing shut off. And that is not great. So basically it means I don't trust the USB port for continuous power, which is too bad. So, oh, thank you for the super chats. I totally didn't see those because I'm not looking at my program feed. Hardy Media, most helpful live stream. Thanks for all your work. Oh, I'm glad you appreciate got something out of this. This was, I feel like, just running in circles, but yep. Felicia, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. You learned so much today. Oh, can you please talk through the Filmic Pro, Apple TV, and AirPlay flow? It's seamless. Sure. Okay, so I can talk about that. Let me see what's the best way to do that. Sorry, I missed the super chats. I was just talking right over them because they're visible on that screen, not on this screen. And Marcin, thank you for the super chat as well. Thanks, that was fun. This is good. This will be buy me some more converters to test the LUTs with the cameras. Okay, Filmic Pro, Apple TV, AirPlay. How do I want to show that? I wasn't prepared to show that. Let's go back to the desk because I think I can show it better there. Oh, and another super chat. Thank you. You guys are very, very nice. I appreciate it a lot. Okay. So back over here.
think this is going to be the best way to show this. So what I can do is double audio.
Let's turn that audio off. There we go. 2 microphones on. That's what was going on. So what we can do is I'm just gonna have to show you this on my. Oh, I didn't even think about my battery on my phone is dying. Good time to wrap this up. So this app is Filmic Pro. It is. It's not in focus because this camera does not autofocus. Filmic Pro on the phone, and the Filmic Pro is like a camera app, so it's got all these fancy features that like you can do manual color settings and exposure settings and things like that. Wait, people are saying the double up audio still. I don't see 2 audios on. Hello? No, we're fine. Okay. So yeah, Filmic Pro, cool app. It's meant for like recording on your phone, and you can do manual exposure and stuff like that. It is one of the few apps that can also output the clean HDMI feed or clean video feed over HDMI or AirPlay. So a lot of these apps, if they support a second screen, then it doesn't matter whether the second screen is connected over AirPlay or a physical cable. The app will see it the same way. So the app is aware of the second screen, and some apps will then be like, cool, I know what to do with that. We're gonna send just the video feed out to that. And rather than like mirroring the interface. So if I show you, let's cut to that. This is looking through my phone, but I'm gonna go and change a setting in here, which is, where is it? There we go, clean HDMI out. Oh, it's gonna make me reconnect that. Okay. So I want to show you what happens if you don't have clean HDMI out set on this app. So I have to stop mirroring that. And then mirror it again. Okay, so, oh, actually, I can, no, it's fine. So now, if I show you this is the HDMI out of the phone. This is what it's actually seeing. This is what I'm seeing on my phone when I'm using the app, and you've got these little boxes to like, I don't remember exactly what they do. I don't actually use this app for anything except this. But you can do, like, you can change the color temperature, you can change, here we go, we can change one of these is here's the focus. You can do manual focus on the phone, which is cool. This one is shutter speed. Why is it not changing? Oh, there we go. Focus. So yeah, you can do manual focus. There we go. Or you can set autofocus if you want. Anyway, the cool app, but if you go into the settings menu and you go to hardware and you go clean HDMI out, and it tells you have to reconnect your external display. So fine, we will do that. We can go and disable AirPlay and then enable AirPlay again, screen mirroring to the studio. And now we're screen mirroring, and now the app says, cool, I'm just gonna send a clean video feed. So that's step one, is you need an app that has the ability to do the clean HDMI out. Step two is connecting that app to your system. So again, either you can do it over like an HDMI cable, so you get a little lightning to HDMI adapter. I don't think I have any within arm's reach here. So lightning to HDMI adapter will work. Oh, thanks for the super chat, Eric. Well, these interactive sessions of trying stuff out, well worth it. Appreciate it. Definitely is Oh, and Media Rex as well. Thank you. I think that one didn't show up on the screen. I appreciate it. So yeah, you need to get the phone connected to the ATEM. So HDMI cable with a lightning adapter or AirPlay to something. And I use an Apple TV for that. This one is the Apple TV 4K. I think it is the newest one, but I had the really old one at home, so I sort of bumped everything up a generation, and have the second gen at home now for that just being a TV. But this one's the new 4K. It's not in 4K mode, obviously, because it's plugged into the ATEM. But then it's just an AirPlay receiver, and that's why if I disconnect my phone mirroring, it'll go back to the home screen of the TV, and that's just the Apple TV plugged in. And as soon as a video signal comes in over AirPlay, it will output over HDMI, and that's plugged into the ATEM. And then it just is a wireless camera, so there's not much to it after that, and I can just cut to my phone's camera as if it were wired in, because it's all just there. It's seamless. I don't know, it's great. There's a couple other apps that do that too, and the trick is finding iOS apps with clean HDMI out. I have a thread going here on the forums. Oops, my downstream key trigger is still on, and I wanted to document all the different apps that do support this. I should drop this link into the chat here. So the Filmic Pro is one I've been using. AirMix Solo is not a camera app. It's meant for being a remote camera into a live stream system, but it also works. Also Overviewer and Vscope. Also Camera Vision. People are chiming in with their other recommendations as well. And the Shoot app, which is really hard to search for, but it is also meant for doing that. So any of those apps will work, and they have different costs, so keep that in mind. And because they all do cost different amounts because they're all meant for different things. So if you're just using it as a camera, you don't need a wireless camera. You don't need all the features in Filmic, for example. So you may not want to pay for them, but lots of different options for you. So definitely check out the other options if you're worried about the cost of some of those apps. Okay, seeing a couple of questions. Oh, thank you, Felicia. Okay. Can you use that software on Android, and what device would you what would you use for the wireless transmission to the ATEM? And then similar question, is a Chromecast or Miracast of the same ability with Android phones and Filmic Pro? I don't know about whether Filmic Pro exists on Android. I would imagine that if it doesn't exist, there's probably another similar app that does. And a Chromecast and Miracast are going to be very similar to an Apple TV in that sense, that it'll work as a remote screen. But I don't think that I don't think those devices are necessarily going to be powerful enough to give you good performance on that, because the Chromecast device is super, super, super trimmed down compared to an Apple TV. AK Production says Filmic Pro does exist for Android. Fantastic. Over HDMI, that would be no problem. Then the Chromecast is so cheap compared to an Apple TV that I would double check before assuming it's going to work well. My suspicion is that the performance of the Chromecast or the Miracast cheap devices is not going to be good enough to give you a good experience with that. The free version is quite dull. Oh, okay. But you may actually don't even know if you need the Pro version, the upgraded version, in order just to do the clean HDMI out feature. I don't remember what's in the different versions. Yeah, I would try it with a Chromecast, but if you have one, but I don't know, I would be prepared to return the Chromecast if it's not going to end up working out for you, because yeah, The other thing is the compression. So the video signal coming from the phone going over AirPlay or Chromecast's, whatever that is, protocol is, that is compressed, and that means whatever compression they use is going to have a pretty significant effect on your picture. And the AirPlay video seems to be doing a decent job, and I have seen a lot more compression artifacts on Chromecast. I used to show the chat messages on this show over Chromecast sharing. So I would cast a browser tab into the Chromecast. And if you look back at some of the old streams where I was doing that, when a chat message pops up on the screen, you can see artifacts around it sometimes. You can see the compression working to get that video signal over there. So I kind of suspect it's going to be a worse quality for video as well. But it'd be a good test. I don't actually have an Android phone, so that would be step one. Oh, that's not true. I do have an Android device that I could probably use for that. It's not necessarily a fair comparison, though, because it's not going to be... I don't have an Android device as expensive as my iPhone. I'll just say that. Oh, and just for the record, the phone that I am using right now is the iPhone XS, which is several years old. And I haven't bought a new phone since then, so I was thinking about buying one this year, but I talked myself out of it just because my phone still works fine, and I don't really want to spend $1,000 on a phone. But the camera is a ton better in the newer phones, so that's one of the things they just keep improving. And yeah. Yep. Okay. I think that was about it. That would be good. That would make a good tutorial video of how to do that, because actually it's on my list of tutorial videos to do that. So I will bump it up in the list because I've been meaning to do that for a while, of all the different ways to use iPhone cameras with an ATEM. And I would like to have a good solution for Android as well. And maybe I should make sure to actually include that in that video. Roland is waiting until next year, keeping the XS Max as well. Yeah, I think that's where I've settled it. Is I will probably upgrade next year, because that'll be then 4 years. Lesson for the day: if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yep. And Hardy Media says, from DVE Store, ETA on the Bird Dog Play is end of October, our last update. Okay. And Digital Creations is helpfully reminding everybody to smash that like button. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, I should borrow a friend's phone to do that for the Android part of the tutorial. I'll have to find someone who's willing to loan me their Android phone. All right, it's lunchtime here, so I should go eat some food. And thank you all for the super chats. A lot of them today. When I roll the credits, that is going to show everybody who has thrown a super chat my way over the last month. So thank you to all of you wonderful people who very kindly help support this channel. It's a lot of fun doing this stuff. But yeah, like I said, I always take these super chats and put them right back into the channel. It helps me buy more stuff to demo and show on streams. So Graham, thanks for the super chat. Thanks for a marathon stream. Get a drink. Yeah, it is. It's went a lot longer than I was planning to today, but it's fun. We just try stuff out live. That's yeah. I need more adapters and more cables. I do. I have a couple of SDI cables on order now. So we'll be back next week with more things to talk about, I'm sure. And if you have any questions, as always, leave them in the comments or come back next week. And we will keep going and going and going and just, yeah, if I did miss some questions today, I'm sure I missed some. I'm sorry. It's hard to keep track of all the questions in the chat, but I do appreciate the questions, and the if I missed them, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Come back next week and try again. AK Productions is also going to head to the fridge. Wonderful. Philip says we need to get you to 25K subscribers so we can have another celebratory live stream. I agree. At 25K, I definitely will do another celebration. So, yeah. Thanks for all the super chats. Wow, that's quite a list of people today. That means a lot. Thank you. Yeah, we'll be back next week, and until then, have a great rest of the day or evening or whatever time it is, and I will see you again later. Bye.